Hello everyone. Welcome to another class on reasoning ability and problem solving. In today's class, we will start a new topic called following directions, or you can also call it direction and distance test. In today's lecture, we will discuss all the types of questions that you can get in your competitive exams from this topic. So, what do you mean by following direction? So, basically, direction refers to the placement of an object concerning another object. So, let us see. For understanding following directions, there are few basic concepts that everybody should know. The first concept is the basic directions. We all know that there are four basic directions. This is north, south, east, and west. These are the four basic directions. So, whenever we are solving examination point of view questions, we always take this direction to be north. Then, the direction between north and east is called northeast. So, the direction between north and east is called northeast. Similarly, the direction between east and south is called southeast. The direction between south and west is called southwest. And the direction between north and west is called northwest. This little diagram chart will come in very handy while solving the questions for following directions. There's a shortcut that you can use for examinations if you have a hard time remembering this. Just draw a small diagram on one of your pages like this, and this will help you solve your questions. So I would recommend you to give it a little bit of time and remember all this so you don't have to spend time much being confused. So this basic diagram of the 8 directions. So these are the primary directions: north, south, west, and east. These are your 4 primary directions, and based on this you have 4 other directions, which is northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. Now there is another concept called how do we find a direction based on the object. For example, we have a girl, let's say, named Aarti, and we have a boy named Bharat. Now if I have to write, I can say that Aarti is to the north of Bharat, right? Because if you look at this position, Aarti is in north direction with respect to Bharat. Similarly, I can write that Bharat is to the south direction of Aarti. Right? Because if you look from the point of view of Aarti, Bharat is towards the south from Aarti. So this concept of identifying the direction with respect to your original position, this concept is also very important for your examinations point of view. Let us do a similar question. Okay, let us understand this with the help of an example. So I'm drawing a small chart to indicate the directions. This is just for the reference. This is southeast. This direction is southwest. And this direction is northwest. So this small diagram is just for your reference. Now let us say that there is a person named B, there is a person named C, there is a person named D, and there is a person named A. So if I have to find directions, I can say that B is, if I am taking the reference of A, from the point of view of A. From the point of view of A, B is to the east of A. Similarly, D is to the south of A. Similarly, C is to the southeast of A. This concept is clear with respect to A. Now let us change. Let us understand it from the point of view of B. Now, from the point of view of B, A is to the west of B. Similarly, C is to the south of B. Therefore, D is to the southwest of B. This was in respect to B. Understood? Now let us do the same thing with respect to C. So now with respect to C, B will be to the north of C because it is above C, right? D will be to the west of C. Similarly, A will be to the northwest of C. This is with respect to C. Now with respect to D, let us find out. With respect to D, A will be to the north of D. Similarly, C will be to the east of D and B will be to the northeast of D. So this is the whole concept of identifying the direction with respect to a person. Now there is other concepts that are used for following directions that we'll understand. There's a concept of right and left. So whenever we solve questions, we always assume that we are facing towards the north, and if we are facing towards the north, this will be the right and this will be the left. Simple. If we are facing south, then it will change. If we are facing south, then this will be your left and this will be your right. So this is for north, this is for south. What if you're facing east? If you're facing east, this direction will be your right and this direction will be your left. Right? And what if you're facing west? If you're facing west, this direction is your right and this direction is your left. So this is also another concept that comes in handy when we are solving questions for following directions. Now, the other concept is clockwise and anti-clockwise. If you remember, this is what a clock looks like. This is 12 and this is 6. So a clock's hand will move in this direction towards the right. This is called the clockwise direction. And if we go in the opposite direction, it will be called the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this is another concept that is used very frequently in following directions. Now one more concept, don't worry, we'll understand all these concepts in detail when we solve questions. Okay, so this is just to give you a rough idea. Now if I'm standing over here and I have to turn 90 degree, this is my north, this will be my east. So this is 90 degree turn. What if I have to turn only 45 degrees? If I have to turn only 45 degrees, I will be facing northeast. Similarly, if I turn 180 degrees, so if I turn all the way to 180 degrees, I will be facing south. And if I turn only 135 degrees, so if I turn somewhere here, this is 135 degrees. This entire thing is 135 degree. So if I turn from north to 135 degree, I'll be facing south east. Similarly, if I turn 270 degrees, okay, so if I'm facing north, 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 90 degrees. So all of this angle, right? This is a 270 degree angle and I will be facing west. Clear? And if I turn entire 360 degree, if I take a complete 360 degree turn, I'll come back to the same position, which is north. So this concept of turning degrees, degree wise, this is also used very frequently in following directions. So far we have discussed how many concepts? So far, the first concept we discussed was simple directions, northeast, west, south, and the sub-directions, that is northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, all these. Then we discuss the concept of finding direction in relation to an object. That is the second concept that we did. So if A is to the north of B, that means B will be to the south of A, right? We discussed this. Then we discussed the basic concept of left and right. And similarly, we discussed the basic concept of clockwise and anti-clockwise, right? These four concepts we discussed. Now, this concept is called rotation. So we also understood the concept of rotation. Last but not the least is the concept of the Pythagoras theorem. This is also known as Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagoras theorem. So what do you mean by Pythagoras theorem? Let us understand. If A is standing here, B is standing here, and C is standing here. So if you look at them, they form a triangle. And what kind of triangle do they form? They form a right angle triangle. This is clear. This much is clear. So Pythagoras theorem says, so if I have to find the shortest distance between A and C, so there's one way, either AC is the distance, or I can say AB plus BC will be the distance between A and C. Which will be the shortest distance? AC will be the shortest distance, right? This will be the shortest distance. Okay. So in order to find the shortest distance between two people or two objects, we use the concept of Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras, let's say this side is C, this side is A, and this side is B. So Pythagoras theorem simply states that C square will be equals to A square plus B square. Just this much. This is what is Pythagoras theorem. So if in the question I am given, let us say that the distance between A and B is 4 and the distance between B and C is 3. Let us say this is given in the question. This is 4 kilometer and 3 kilometer. So if I have to find the distance between A and C, the shortest distance, in that case I'll simply calculate it as 4 square plus 3 square, which will be equal to 16 plus 9, which will be equal to 25, which will be equal to C square. So C will be under root of 25, that is 5. So I told you to remember the squares from 1 to 30. If you remember them very, by heart, then this is very easy to find out. So by Pythagoras theorem, we can say that the shortest distance between A and C will be 5 kilometer. That is the only concept of Pythagoras theorem that is used in following directions. So in total, we use 6 concepts. We use the concept of basic directions. We use the concept of finding directions in relation to an object. We use the concept of left and right. We use the concept of clockwise and anti-clockwise. We use the concept of rotation. And then we use the concept of Pythagoras theorem. So this is all that is there in following directions, nothing more than this. So based on this, we have 6 type of questions in following directions. So 6 type of problems. First is direction sense. As I told you, we have to find out what is the direction sense of a person. In which direction is he or she facing. Second will be relative directions. So if A is to the north of B, then B is in what direction with respect to A. That is the second type. Third type is distance and direction. We basically calculate the distance between two objects or two people. Then routes and paths. In routes and paths, we get actually questions which involves solving the question in such a way that a complete path is formed. And based on this path, we have to answer the question. So this is also one type. Then coded direction and distance. So in this type of questions, we basically use some codes. So if you remember, we did a topic called coding decoding. In coding decoding, what we did, we write A as 1, B as 2, and then we have to decode them further. Same concept we use for following directions as well. This is not very tricky on anything. Then we have turns and rotations, as I told you, based on how many turns or how many rotations a person take. So all these 6 type of questions can be formed from following directions. So let us understand each of them one by one. This is example 1 based on direction sense. So let me draw the chart for your reference. So this will be north, this will be south. Similarly, this will be east and this will be west. this will be northeast, this will be southeast, this will be southwest, and this will be northwest. Simple, nothing very tricky, right? A person is facing north, so let us assume that a person is over here and he's facing north. So if I am a person, I am facing north. This is my initial position. So whenever we start a question, the initial position is given and we have to start the question from there. So he makes a turn of 90-degree clockwise. So okay, if a person is here, this is the north direction, and he makes a 90-degree clockwise turn. So I told you that clockwise we go like this, right? This is the direction of clockwise. So if he goes in a clockwise direction, we'll go like this. So he'll face this side. This will be a 90-degree turn. And this side will be what? This side will be east. Correct? Then he took a 180-degree turn. So just while answering the question, break the question. So we did this. We broke the question from here. Then after making a 90-degree clockwise turn. So first we did this, right? We came at this position. Then he took a 180-degree anti-clockwise turn, right? Again. So anti-clockwise will be this direction. So if I am going opposite of clock, I'll go in this direction. This will be anti-clockwise, right? This will be anti-clockwise. So if I'm going now in opposite direction, right, and I'm taking a 180-degree turn, I'll be facing west. This is 180 degrees, right? So in the question, we have to find out the direction he's facing now. So if a person was here and he took a 90-degree clockwise rotation, he'll be here. And then if he took a 180-degree anti-clockwise rotation, he will be here. So answer will be option 1, west. This is your correct answer. Now, Ravi is standing to the east of Amit. So this is relative directions. We have to find out the directions of certain people with respect to certain people. So let me just draw the chart very quickly for your reference. North, south, east and west. Fine. Ravi is standing to the east of Amit. So if Amit is over here, Ravi will be here. Ravi is standing to the east of Amit. And Amit is standing to the south of Priya. So if Amit is to the south of Priya, Priya will be here. Correct? This much you understand. In which direction is Ravi standing concerning Priya? So we have to find out how Ravi is standing with respect to Priya. Because here we have to find out concerning Priya. So with respect to Priya. So if we look at from Priya's point of view, Ravi is in which direction? Ravi is in this direction. And this direction is which direction? This is southeast direction. Right? This is southeast. This is south. Right? Correct? So our answer will be option number 2, southeast. So in relative directions questions, basically you have to understand that we have to find the direction with respect to the person mentioned in the question. So in the question it is concerning Priya. If let's change the question a little. Okay. So if the question said that what is the direction of Amit with respect to Priya, then in that case it would be south. If the question said what would be direction of Priya with respect to Ravi, then in that case it will be northwest. Understood? So in relative direction questions, please read the question carefully and understand that with respect to which person are we finding the direction. Okay, then this is the third type, distance and direction. Now let us solve this question. Aman starts walking towards the east. Okay, so he is walking towards east. That means he is walking towards which direction? So if he is walking towards east, that means he is going in this direction, right? And covers a distance of 4 kilometers. So let's say this is the starting point for Aman. He walks for 4 kilometers and stops in east. He is going this direction. Then he turns towards the north. So if he turns towards the north, he'll go this direction, right? He'll go upwards and covers a distance of 3 kilometers. So he walks and covers a distance of 3 kilometers and then he stops. What is the straight line distance of Aman and his from his initial position? So Aman is here now, and this was what? This was the initial position. He started from here and reached here. Straight line distance basically means the shortest distance. This is the other word. So in a question, if you see you have to find the straight line distance, that means you have to find the shortest distance. So if you have to find the shortest distance, we just discovered that we just discussed it, right? We use the concept of Pythagorean or Pythagoras theorem. So in the Pythagorean theorem, I told you that A, let's say this point is A dash. Okay, so in the theorem, I told you that AI square will be equal to IA square plus IA dash, A dash square, right? So AI square will be equal to what? 4 square plus 3 square, that will be 16 plus 9, which will be 25. So A will be equal to under root of 25, which will be 5 kilometer. Very clearly. So answer will be option number 4, 5 kilometer. So again, in distance and direction, you have to find the distance between two objects or two people. And in this question, you had to find the shortest distance. Okay. Then routes and path. In routes and path, this is the complete question and we will follow a route or a path to come at the answer. So now over here I am solving the question. A school bus driver starts from school and drives 2 kilometer north. So let's break it over here. So let's say this is the position of school. He drives 2 kilometers north. He moves upwards. So this is for your reference, okay? He's moving 2 kilometer upwards north. So one more thing, whenever you solve question for following diagrams, always draw diagrams to scale. Now what do you mean by this? This is very important. This is important, okay? This avoids confusion. So if I'm going 2 kilometer and I'm drawing this much line, so if I am going 4 kilometer, try and draw a line which is double in length. Because if I draw something like this for 2 kilometer and something like this for 4 kilometer, while coming to the answer, it can cause confusion. So to avoid confusion, always draw to scale. This is very important. So now, coming back to the question. A school bus driver starts from the school, drives 2 kilometer north. He drove 2 kilometer north and takes a left turn. So if I'm from north, I'm taking left. That means I'll go this side. I'll go towards west. This will be my left. This will be my right. Correct? So he takes a left turn and drives for 5 kilometers. So here. He then takes a left turn and drives for 8 kilometers. So again a left turn, that means we'll go this side from here. If we are facing west, then our right will be this and our left will be this. If we are facing west, this was for north. Okay. So he then takes a left and drives 8 kilometers. So he is driving 8 kilometers, let us say, before taking a right turn again. So he took a right turn again. So if I am facing south, my right will be this side and my left will be this side. He took a left turn again and drove for 5 kilometers. So if he took a left turn and drove for 5 kilometers, you can say he will be exactly below this point. Why? Because from this we drove 5 kilometers to the west and then we came south, and from this we drove 5 kilometers to the east. So this point will be exactly below this point. Okay. Then the driver finally takes a left turn. So if we are facing east, this will be the right and this will be the left. So then the driver finally takes a left turn and drives 1 kilometer. So he took a left turn and he drove for 1 kilometer before stopping. Then he stopped. At this point, he stopped. How far and towards which direction should the driver drive to reach the school again? So one by one. First, let us understand the direction. So if he is now here and if he has to go back to the school which was here, he has to drive in which position? Which direction? He has to drive towards north. If he drives towards north, he'll reach the school. First part. Now, second part is how far. So let us calculate. Over here, this point and this point will be exactly adjacent to this point. These 4 points forms a square or a rectangle. These 4 points form a rectangle, right? So if he is moving 8 kilometers down and over here he has already covered 1 kilometer and 2 kilometer distance. So this is the distance between the school and the ending point. So this distance will be how much? This distance will be 8 minus 2 minus 1, which is how much? 5 kilometer. So he would have to go 5 kilometer north to go back to the school, which is option number 1. So option number 1 will be your correct answer. Coded direction and distance. So in coded direction and distance, we use the same concept that we used in coding decoding. So C is a symbol and it is coded by 17 meter. Similarly, this is a symbol which is coded by 25 meter to the east. Similarly, this is a symbol which is coded by this, and this is a symbol which is coded by this. Simple question of coding and decoding only, but we have introduced a new concept of following directions into it. Okay. So if I say A is this direction to B, that means you take the reference from here. X is this symbol to Y, that means X is 14 meter to the west of Y. So again, let me draw a very small reference point for you. Once you solve enough questions on following directions, you will not need this reference. But because this is a new topic, that is the reason I'm mentioning this in every slide. Okay. So A, that means A is to the 14 meter west of B. So let me draw over here. A is to the 14 meter west of B. Similarly, B is to the 22 meter south of C. So B is how much? 22 meter to the south of C. Now C is how much? C is 17. I'm taking a reference here. C is 17 meter to the north of D. So D has to be somewhere over here because this is 17. So if this is 17, 22 minus 17 will give us how much? Let us. This is where D is. Okay. This will give us 5. So the distance between D and B will be 5. Right? So basically I have broken 22 into 2 parts, 17 and 5. Now D is to the 25 meter to the east of Y. This is given. D is 25 meter to the east of E. Right? And E is to 20 meter to the south of F. I'm taking reference here. E is 22 meter to the south of F. So E is 22 meter to the south of F. Now, this is given in the question. Now, point P is 5 meter to the south of E. Point P is, if I go 5 meter to the south, this will be in the same line as PAB, right? Then what is the distance between point P and point A? We have to find out this distance. So that is why I told you it is important to draw in scale. Now, if you look at the question, this distance will be equal to this distance. So EP distance will be equal to DB distance, which is 5 kilometer. Similarly, ED distance will be equal to PB distance, which is 25 kilometer. Now, in PB, we already know AB. So PB is equals to PA plus AB. This much you understand. Now, PB is how much? PB is 25. PA we have to find out. And AB we already know is 14. So PA will be 25 minus 14, which will give us 11 kilometer. So our answer will be option number 4, 11 kilometer. Okay. So this is the type 5, which is coded direction and distances. Very simple logic of coding decoding is used over here. Now let us look at this question, which is the last type for today, which deals with turns and rotations. Okay. So Let me draw this for your reference: north, south, east, and west. Mohan walked 30 meters towards south. So this is the starting point, let's say. Okay. And he walks 30 meters towards south. So this direction. Then he took a left turn. So left from south will be this direction. And here he walked 15 meter, right? And then he took a right turn. So right turn from east direction will be here, and he walked for 20 meter. So let's say here. Then he again took a right turn. So right turn from this direction will be over here, and he walked for 15 meter. So he came back exactly below this point. Now we have to find out how far is he from the starting point. So this was your starting point. So this distance will be equal to this distance, which is 20 meter. So from starting point, his total distance will be 30 plus 20, which is 50 meter. So even if you get something like this, how far is he from the starting point? We have to find the shortest distance. So if you find the shortest distance, this will be 50 meter, which is option number 2. So option number 2 will be your correct answer, and you can see the solution over here. So this concludes our lecture for today. Thank you.